Hello guys. Okay, so welcome sa first part ng discussion natin sa engineering mechanics statics. Okay, so let's talk about resultant of a force system. Okay, so pag sinabi mo class resultant, okay, parang ito class yung lumalabas na singular force na magre-represent ng mga forces no na involved dun sa ating system. So, kadalasan kasi class, no, hindi lang naman isang force yung nag-act sa ating body. So, maraming forces and then pag dumadami yung forces class, medyo naging complicated yung analysis niya kung lahat sila iisa-isa yung tignan yung mga effects nila. So, why not class i-convert no yung mga forces na ito into a single force, which is yun nga yung resultant force, para mas masimplify yung ating analysis. Okay, so yun yung gagawin natin class, no, conversion ng mga forces into its resultant force. So, let's try to consider first ito munang figure natin. So, we have here resultant force, okay? So, ganito kasi ang klase, it's either i-convert mo no, yung mga forces into its equivalent resultant force or yung kabaliktad, no, yung resultant force, i-convert mo ito into its component. So, kadalasang class, no, yung components na gusto nating i-present para dun sa resultant force is its component along the horizontal axis or yung x component and its component along the vertical axis or its a y component. So, kadalasang class, syempre, ang bibigay sa atin no, is the magnitude ng force and its direction. So, it's either class yung given na angle is measured from the x-axis. So, tawagin natin theta x or pwede rin namang from the y-axis. Pwede rin yung class. So, for this specific example, so, with respect mo sa x-axis. So, paano ba class i-convert yung resultant into its component? It's into its horizontal and vertical component. So, simple lang. So, kunin lang natin yung mga projection ng force. So, yung distance na to corresponds to its horizontal component, tatawagin natin Fr sub x. And then, project. So, yung distance or yung vertical distance na to corresponds sa vertical component ng resultant force. So, that is Fr y. Okay, so base sa figure class, to solve for the Fr sub x, that is so yung hypotenuse Fr and then cosine of theta sub x. And then to solve for the vertical component ng resultant Fry, so that is hypotenuse yung Fr and then sine of the angle theta x naman. So no need to memorize this one since this one is dependent only on the figure given. So, ang given kasi is along or with respect sa x-axis. So, ito yung lumabas na formula. Okay? So, now to solve for the angle of inclination naman. So, let's say, pinapakuha yung angle of inclination along x. So, that is, from the figure, theta is equals to opposite over adjacent. So, that is absolute value ng Fry over Frx. Okay? So, that's the formula na gagamitin natin when we are dealing on a singular force and then we want to convert it into its horizontal and vertical component. So, now, what if we have two forces, no, F1 and F2, and we want to determine its equivalent resultant force? So, sabi ko nga class, minsan kasi mahirap mag-analyze ng mga problems na maraming forces na involved. So, instead na i-analyze natin sila isa-isa, so, i-convert natin yung mga forces na yan into its equivalent force. And yung equivalent force na yun nga is represented by the resultant force. So, para makuha natin class yung magnitude and direction ng resultant force, graphically, so ganito siya ginagawa, no? So, first, dapat yung direction no? And yung magnitude is naka-scaled. So, katulad nito, yung F1, since mahaba siya, so, meaning to say, malaki yung magnitude niyan compared dito sa F2, maigsi lang, so, maliit lang yung magnitude. And also yung inclination nila dapat scaled. So to solve it graphically, so ginagamit natin class yung parallelogram law. Okay, where in that case, gagawa lang tayo ng parallelogram. So copy ko to. So dapat parallel eh. So ganyan, copy ko. And then this one, copy. So ayan na, nakagawa na tayo ng parallelogram. So sabi daw, yung resultant force is represented by its diagonal. So yung diagonal nito is ito. So whatever yung length niyan, ibig sabihin yun yung magnitude niya, no? So this one is our resultant force Fr. And then kung ano yung inclination niyan, so that one is its inclination with respect sa x-axis. So pwede natin siya ma-solve, no, without using yung mga formula na to graphically. So long as scaled yung drawing mo. So kung scaled, masosolve mo yan using triangles. So madali lang yan. Pero to solve it using yung mga formula, so the same lang naman. So to solve, di ba kailangan natin kunin tong frx, yung horizontal component ng resultant, saka itong fry. So to solve for the frx, that is equivalent lang doon sa summation ng lahat ng fx, no? Lahat ng forces along x. So halimbawa, itong f1. Yung f1 kasi meron siyang sariling horizontal component, and that is directed towards to the right, no? So this one is our f1x. So itong f2, so meron din siyang horizontal component, so tawagin natin yang f2x. So sabi, to solve for the horizontal component ng resultant force, so ang gagawin mo lang, isummation mo lang lahat ng mga horizontal components. So that is f1x plus f2x. Asa na? Ayan. f1x plus f2x. But, syempre, with consideration to its direction. So, commonly class, syempre, all forces to the right is considered positive, while to the left is negative. Okay? So, pag sinamation natin yan, maging equivalent daw siya dito. frx, horizontal component ng resultant force. So, nasan yan, class? So, class, kung titingnan mo tong orange, so kung bibigyan ko siya ng projection downward, so, ibig sabihin, from this point papunta dito, so this one represents yung horizontal component frx. Okay? So, sabi natin, masolve yan using this one. So, paano naman yung vertical? So, yung vertical niya is, asan? Diba ito? Vertical component ng resultant force, fry. So, paano naman kunin yan, class? So, ganun lang din. Fry is just the summation naman ng lahat ng forces along y. So, itong f2, so meron niyang vertical component. Pag ganito yun. So, this one is f2y. And then, itong f1, so meron din siya na vertical component. So, this one is f1y. So, sana nag-gets pa yung nasa figure, no? So, just take the summation ng lahat ng vertical component ng mga forces. So, that represents the vertical component of the resultant. So, to solve for its magnitude, okay, so that yung resultant force is equal yun sa Pythagorean na lang, no? Ng horizontal component squared plus vertical component squared. Okay? So, the same lang yan dito sa una. Hindi ko lang nasulat. So, sulat ko na rin siya dito. So, wait lang. Ayan. So, halimbawa, ang given yung horizontal saka yung vertical component, frx, fry. So, ganun lang, no? Para makuha yung equivalent magnitude ng resultant. So, Pythagorean lang. So, the same lang yan dito. And also, to solve for the inclination, so copy ko na lang yan dito. The same na lang naman lahat yan. Okay? So, kung mapapansin mo, wala namang kinaiba kung isang force lang or kung may two forces involved. Okay, wala namang problema, no? Just yung naging difference lang kung makuha yung horizontal component, we take summation ng lahat ng forces along horizontal. And so with the vertical one. And then the rest, the same lang. Okay? So what if we have three forces involved? So paano ipakita graphically yung equivalent resultant nito? So paano gagamitin yung diyan class parallelogram law? So para magamit natin yung parallelogram law, ang ginagawa dito, always consider two forces muna, di ba? So it's up to you kung gusto mong gamitin yung F1, F2 or itong F1, F3 or yung F2 saka F3. Wala namang problema. So halimbawa, gusto ko munang i-consider itong F1, F2. So ang gagawin kasi natin dito class is i-convert muna natin yung dalawang force muna into its equivalent resultant force. So halimbawa, itong F1 saka F2 na pili mo. So instead dalawa sila, i-convert natin sila into a singular force na equivalent sa kanila. So, para magawa yon, use parallelogram law. So, copy ko to. Parallel, lagay ko siya dito. And then this one. So, ibig sabihin, yung resultant ng F1 and F2 is itong diagonal na to. Okay, so ayan. So, pwede natin tawagin to class as the resultant nung force 1 and 2. So, tawagin natin F1, 2. So, ibig sabihin, instead na meron kang dalawang forces, F1 saka F2, parang pwede mo silang i-convert sa isang force na lang, itong F1, 2. So, ibig sabihin, parang nangyari dito sa figure na to, meron ka na lang two forces. Itong resultant nilang dalawa, na yung equivalent nila, and then itong F3. So, may two forces, di gamitin ulit natin yung parallelogram law, no? So, copy ko to. Okay, and then this one. Okay, ayan, no? So, ibig sabihin, yung diagonal ng two forces na yan, now corresponds, no? Doon sa resultant ng lahat ng forces na natin. So, let's say itong dilaw. Kita naman, di ba? Okay? So, dahil ang pinag-combine natin is itong F1, 2, saka F3. So, yung diagonal na yan, corresponds now doon sa resultant na ng 1, 2, 3. No? So, parang total FR na siya. Okay? So, that is graphically. Kung gusto mong mag-solve ng mga forces using triangles, kung mas pabor ka doon. So, kung gusto naman siyang solve using formula, so the same lang yan dito. So, wala namang pinagkaiba. So, to solve for the horizontal component ng resultant force, just take the summation ng lahat ng forces along horizontal. The same with the vertical. So, yung vertical component ng resultant is just the summation of all forces along y, considering the direction, and then the same with this one, Pythagorean, and then tangent of theta. Okay? So, para mas ma-appreciate natin ito, so proceed na tayo class dun sa ating sample problems. Okay? Okay, so bago tayo mag-proceed pala dun class, take note na itong sinusolve natin is mga 2D forces. Okay, two-dimensional forces. Wherein, nandun lang sila sa plane na XY plane. So, later on class, magkakaroon pa tayo ng discussion natin wherein yung mga forces natin is naka 3D na, no? Space forces na sila. So, paano mag-analyze ng ganon? So, later on, focus muna tayo dito. 2D forces. Okay? So, ayan. Proceed na tayo sa ating sample problem 1. Okay, so dito. Two forces act on the hook. Determine the magnitude of the resultant force. Okay, so dito sa drawing na to, hindi siya scaled kasi makikita mo, magkasing haba lang yung 200 saka yung 500. So, kung gusto mo siyang i-solve graphically, so dapat scaled siya. So, wait lang. So, let's say, ito. Okay, so let's say ito yung tawagin natin ano, no? Axis natin. So, ito yung X and Y. So, try lang muna natin class mag-drawing nito ng scaled. So, let's say itong 200 Newton force is directed towards this direction. So, ito siya. 200. Angle is 30. And then yung isa, 500. So, dapat mas mahaba siya. So, let's say ganito. Pwede na siguro yan. This one is yung 500. And then, with respect sa x-axis, so 30 plus 40, 70 siya, no? So, kung gusto mo class kunin yung yung resultant, paano gagawin? Graphically. So, gawa tayo ng parallelogram. Ganyan. Saka dito. Okay. Ayan. So, yung diagonal niyan. So, nasa na yung diagonal? So, ito yung diagonal, no? Yeah. So, pwede na yan. No? Yung diagonal na yan corresponds na doon sa resultant F sub R. Kita pa ba? Kita pa. So, ano ba gusto mong gawing class? Solve pa natin to using yung parallelogram law. So, wag na, no? Proceed na tayo dun sa formula. So, kung gusto natin kunin yung yung horizontal component ng resultant, FR sub X, that is just the summation ng lahat ng forces along X. So, consider natin class forces to the right, positive. Okay, itong 200 Newton force, so meron siyang horizontal component. And then, itong 500 kilonewton force, meron din siyang horizontal component. So, ganun lang class. Summation ng forces along X. So, yung 200 muna. So, that is 200. So, 30 degrees. So, that is cosine of 30 towards to the right. And then, yung 500 towards the right din. So, plus 500 cosine of 70 naman. So, with that, how much is our summation ng forces along X? So, this one is 344.215 newtons. Okay? So, next is we take summation or we solve for the vertical component of the resultant force, and that is the summation ng mga forces along Y. So, considering upward naman tayo, positive. Okay, so in that case, no, yung 200 Newton is directed downward, so therefore negative. So, the same with the 500 Newton force. So, yung vertical component niya is downward. So, pare silang negative. So, summation ng forces along Y equals, so, negative 200. So, that is naman? Sine of 30, no? And then minus 500. Ano naman to? Sine of 70. Okay, so ilan yan? That is negative 569.846 newtons. Okay, so ayan na. So, anong ibig sabihin yan, class? So, therefore, kung titingnan natin to class, no, yung FR, yung orange, so, kung gagawa natin siya ng projection, okay, so, itong horizontal projection na to, ito yung horizontal component ng FR, which is positive 344.215, which is correct towards the right. And then, yung vertical component niya is eto, no? So, this one is yung FRY, which is directed downward. So, which is correct nga na 569.846 newtons. So, downward negative. So, ayan. Nasolve na natin yung FR. FR is just the Pythagorean of FRX squared plus FRY squared. Okay, so just simply plug in. Okay, ilan ng FR class? Okay, so sagot 665.739 or 665.74 newtons. Okay, so nasa choices ba yan, class? Okay, so nasa choices, that is letter C. So, correct. Okay, so hindi ko muna siguro, class, utilize yung paggamit ng parallelogram law. So, later on na lang. Pag may problem tayong nakitang mas madali namang isolve using that one instead netong mga by components. Okay, so next problem tayo, situation 1. So, wait lang. Okay, ayan. Situation 1. From the figure shown below, so we have three forces, F1, F2, and then F3. So compute the magnitude of resultant force Fr and compute the direction of the resultant force measured counterclockwise from the positive x-axis. So, pwede ulit graphically, which is hindi ko naman napapakita kasi sabi ko nga, gagamitin ko na lang, class, yung by components, no? To solve for the horizontal component ng resultant force, so that just take the summation ng mga forces along x, considering forces to the right positive. Okay, so summation ng force along x equals, so we have F1. Yung F1 natin is meron siyang horizontal component towards to the left. Pati itong F2, di ba? To the left. Itong F3 to the right. So, dalawang negative, isang positive. So, for F1, that is negative 30. Ang binigay sa ating, class, is naka-slope. So, paano yun, class? To solve for the horizontal component, that is, edi yung horizontal over hypotenuse. So, 30 times 4 pip. Okay? Next is yung F2, negative 20. So, ang binigay na angle is ito. So, in that case, sine naman siya, no? So, sine 20. And then, plus yung F3. So, completely horizontal towards to the right. So, that is plus 50. So, in that case, ilan yung horizontal component ng resultant force? Okay, so that is 19.16 newtons. Next, take the or solve for the vertical component ng resultant, FRY. So that is summation ng mga forces along y considering upward positive. So itong F1 pataas, so therefore positive. Yung F2 pababa, so therefore negative. And then yung F3 wala, so 0. So summation ng forces along y. So yung F1 is positive 30. Vertical component is sa triangle, so that is 3 over 5 naman. And then minus yung F2 na 20. So considering yung angle na 20 degrees, so cosine naman yan, no? So 20. So equals ilan? So that is negative 0.7939. Okay, newtons. So, ibig sabihin class, no, even hindi natin napakita kung paano i-drawing yung resultant, just like this one. Diba ito, nakita mo yung direction niya agad using yung parallelogram law. So, kahit walang parallelogram law, kaya nating i-drawing, no, kung saan ba directed yung resultant force using yung mga magnitude and sign ng mga nakuha nating components. Okay, so just like this one, so kung nag-drawing ako dito ng Cartesian plane, x and y, so yung horizontal component is what? 19, no? Positive. So, parang ito yon. So, ito yung FRX na 19.16. And then, yung FRY is negative, no? And then, sobrang liit lang niya, 0.7939. So, let's say ito siya. Maiksi lang. Okay, so, this one is yung FRY na 0.7939. So, hindi ko na nalalagay class yung negative kasi na-consider ko naman siya sa direction. Okay, so by parallelogram law, so, ayan, ito yung mabubuo natin parallelogram dyan. So, therefore, ito yung lalabas na resultant force na ito yung FR. So, pinakita ko lang yung class para at least napapractice mo siya. So, sana. So, anyways, para ma-solve ang magnitude, sana yun. So, FR is just the Pythagorean ng mga components. FRX squared plus FRY squared. Okay, so just simply plug in yung mga nakuha nating values. Ilan yan? Okay, so labas sa calcu is 19.18 and then that is Newton. So correct answer is letter C. So check. So next, number 3. Compute the direction of the resultant force measured counterclockwise from the positive x-axis. So ang tinatanong na angle is from the positive x-axis papaganito, counterclockwise, papunta dun sa resultant. So, ito yung hinahanap, no? Pero class, kung gagamitin natin yung formula na tangent of theta, ang makukuha mo dun is, ito lang, no? Yung maliit dito. Ito yung parang lumalabas na theta x. Tama ba? Parang ganon. So, ibig sabihin, hindi directly natin makukuha yung angle na hinanap, pero po-provide naman natin siya using yung figure na nabuo natin. Okay? So, kunin muna natin yung theta x na yan, yung maliit doon. So, sana na-imagine mo yung ginagawa natin class, no? So, yung tangent of theta x ay equal sa absolute value ng FRY over FRX. So, simply plug in negative 7939 over 19.16. So, yung small angle doon sa triangle natin is how much? So, 16 to So, this one is 2.37 degrees. Pero hindi yan yung tinatanong. Yung tinatanong yung malaking angle theta dito. So, from the figure, we know that yung theta is simply equal sa 360 degrees minus yung nasolve nating 2.37. So, with that, ang sagot is 357.63 degrees. Okay, so nasa choices. So, that is letter B. So, we are correct. Okay? So, ayun. Yun yung kahalagan rin ng pag-drawing ng tamang direction ng mga component, no, para tama rin class yung mapoprovide mong direction. Okay, so, okay, anong next natin sasagutan? So, in situation 3, asa na ba? Situation 2 na tayo. So, wait lang. Okay, so, bago tayo mag-proceed class dito sa situation 2, so, alam nyo ba class na merong tricks na solution? So, sa mga ganitong type ng problem, no? So, given yung mga forces, so solve yung resultant and then direction. So, actually, pwede natin siyang hindi solve, no, ng mano-manong ganyan. Yun ay kung nakinig kayo class sa discussion ko nung nasa surveying pa ako. So, may ginamitan ako dun class na paggamit nung complex mode, no? Yung pagkuha ng linear error of closure sa closed traverse. So, ganun din dito class. Pwede natin gamitin yan, okay? Yung konsepto nun. So, i-present ko lang siguro muna, no, dito sa situation problem 1 and situation 1 yung paggamit nung calcu. Okay, bago tayo mag-proceed sa next problem. So, punta kayo class sa calculator nyo. Okay, and then tayo, mode 2, complex mode. So, ang gagawin lang natin class, i-present lang natin, no, yung mga forces ng naka-R angle theta. So, halimbawa, wait lang. So, let's say, etong 200 Newton force na to, tawagin nating force 1. Okay, and then etong 500 is force 2. So, ang gagawin lang natin class, i-convert lang natin siya sa equivalent R angle theta niya. So, yung R is the magnitude. Kita ba yung sinusulat ko? Okay. And then, itong theta is yung angle from the positive x-axis. Okay? So, halimbawa, yung F1. So, pag sinulat natin yan, yung R niyan is yung magnitude niya, 200, and then angle. So, anong angle na itong F1 from the positive x-axis? So, di ba ito yung positive x-axis natin. So, it's up to you if you consider yung positive angle, yung pa ganito. Di ba sa triangle, ito yung positive angle. So, this one is, magkano to class? Kung 30 yun nandito, so ito magiging 330 positive. So, pwede mong lagay dito is yung 330. Or, another way ng pagpe-present ng F1 is, so, 200 angle. So, pwedeng pa ganito naman. Basta laging mag-i-start tayo sa positive x-axis. So, pa ganito. So, in that case, sa trigonometric, clockwise direction is a negative angle. So, this one is negative 30. So, pwede mo rin lagayan. 200 angle negative 30. Okay? And then, gagawin mo lang dyan class, just simply store sa letter A. So, tanggalin ko nga muna class yung calcu. Ayan, no? So, yan yung for F1. Now, for F2 naman, paano susulat yung F2? So, F2 equals R angle theta. So, R is the magnitude, 500 angle. So, paano naman yung angle niya? So, papunta dito, kung positive, di ba ito 70 to class? So, 360 minus 70, 290. Tama ba? 290. So, positive 290. So, 500 angle, 290. Or, kung ayaw mo nang nahihirapan, pwede mo siyang isulat ng 500 angle. So, from the positive x-axis, clockwise direction. So, negative angle, negative 70. And then, this one is stored sa B. Okay? So, ayan, B. So, para makuha class yung resultant, ganito lang yon. That the resultant FR is just simply the summation of all the components. So, para siyang A plus B. Okay, summation or vector summation ng mga components. So, yung component niya, di ba, itong A, yung nasa F1, saka yung B, nasa F2. So, whatever yung summation, that one represents yung resultant. And then, i-practice natin class na yung resultant is i-store natin sa letter F. No, para later on, may mga problems kasi na kailangan natin yung resultant. So, at least napapractice mo nang nag-i-store sa mga variables. Okay? So, gawin nga natin yung class. Okay lang ba? So, matatakpan ko tong yung mga pinagsusulat ko pag nag-calculator tayo. So, ayan. No? So, for F1, that is 200 angle 330. So, ako class, sanay akong nilalagay kong angle is yung positive. So, it's up to you. Basta pinakita ko na sa iyo yung mga ways. So, store sa A. And then, yung isa, natatakpan na ng calcu ko, which is yung 500 angle 290. So, store sa B. So, A plus B. Okay, so this one represents na yung resultant, which is store natin sa letter F. And then, kung mapapansin mo, so may 344 and then 569. So, di ba gaya ng sabi ko class dun sa sa surveying natin, yung ibibigay sa ating value na naka x plus yi. Yung x represents yung horizontal component frx, and then yung y represents yung vertical component fry. Kaya mapapansin mo, yung nasa calculator is the same dito, 344 saka negative 569. Okay, so check nga ulit natin. Ayan, no. 344 saka negative 569. So, kung gusto mong kunin yung magnitude and direction, so just simply click apps and then 1 to convert into polar form or angle theta. So, ayan, no, yung radius corresponds to the magnitude 665.739, which is the same sa nakuha nating answer, 665.74. And then yung angle dito class, ayun na rin yun, no. Yung angle niya is negative 58.86 or 87. So, anong ibig sabihin nun class? So, considering tong drawing natin na to, so tama nga yung angle niya is pa ganito, no? Negative. So, ganito yung direction. So, this one, ito yung 58 point. Ilan yung nakuha natin na yan? 58.87, no? 0.87. So, negative meaning clockwise, which is true doon sa ating figure. Okay, so sana na-guess nyo class, medyo binibilisan ko lang kasi marami pa tayong problems na isosolve. So, apply natin siya dito. So, paano tong F1? Paano susulat yung F1? E di kailangan ko yung angle dito siguro, no? Kailangan ko yung angle. So, in that case, yung angle na yan is arctan of 3/4. Pero for F1, sabi nga natin, di ba, laging yung from positive x-axis. So, kung susulat natin class yung F1, makikita ba ako? Kita. Okay, so susulat natin sa complex mode yung F1. So, that is 30 angle. Anong angle niya? Yung kulay blue. Eh, di that is equal yun sa 180 minus yung theta na to, no? Which is yung arctan of 3/4. So, this one is stored sa A. So, paano yung F2 susulat, class? So, magnitude 20 angle. So, pag ganito naman yon. So, that is 270 minus 20, no? 270 minus 20 stored sa B. And then yung F3, so, paano susulat yan? So, 50, completely horizontal. So, pwedeng 50 angle 0 or 50 angle 360. Okay lang yan. So, the same lang. Store sa C. So, yung resultant is A plus B plus C. So this one is yung ating FR na i-store natin sa letter F. Okay, so i-practice natin ulit. So mabilis lang naman. So 30 angle 180 minus arctan of 3/4 store sa A. Next, 20 angle 270 minus 20 B. And then lastly, 50 angle 0. So C. Okay, so A plus B. Ay, nawala. Plus B plus C. So this one now corresponds sa ating resultant force. So yung first number is the horizontal component, FRX, which is, asan yan? So, may natakpan ng calculator. Pero ito yun, no? Yung 19.16. Tama ba? So, 19.16. And the same with the vertical component, negative 7939. So, ito yan. So, negative 7939. Okay? So, to get its magnitude and direction, so simply convert. Store muna natin sa F. So, para napapractice lang. And then, convert into R angle theta. So, yung R is the magnitude 19.18, which is the same sa ating answer. And then, yung negative 2.37. So, ayun yun class. Ito yung na-solve natin na angle dito, no? So, parang nangyari. Pakita ko. So, lumalabas, no? Ganito yon. So, negative. So, ganito yung iikot na 2.37. So, ito yung lumalabas na FR. Which is, yun nga, the same nga siya dito sa manual natin na ginawa. Okay? So, with that, kung may negative 2.37, again, solvable na tong 357 using yung analysis ng mga angles dito. So, madali na lang yan, no? So, gets ba class yung ginawa natin? So, that one is applicable. Sobrang bilis nun class kahit gano'ng karaming forces so long as tinatanong yung resultant or even yung component basta isa lang yung nawawala. Okay? So, apply natin dito. Or, punta na tayo sa next situation natin class. So, take note, hindi always applicable, no? May mga cases na kapag dalawang force na yung nawawala, so hindi na siya useful. So mas maganda na inaral pa rin natin tong mga basic concept and yung conventional solution ng pag-solve ng forces. Okay? So ayan, situation 2 tayo. So the force F is 450 pounds acts on the frame. So yung 450 is completely downward. So parang lumalabas yung 450 is our siya yung resultant, no? Siya yung resultant force. Siya yung FR. Okay, so next. Ngayon, tinatanong number 4. Compute the magnitude of the component of F directed along the axis of member AB and compute the magnitude of component of F directed along the axis of AC. So, parang mangyari class, no? Para daw mas maging madaling analysis niya ng mga members, no? Gusto niya i-convert itong 450 na to into its component acting along doon sa direction ng mga members. Member AC saka member AB. So, parang nangyari, gusto niyang i-breakdown yan into two forces na directed dito saka dito. So, nag-guess nyo na ba class yung parang gamit ng resultant sa component? So, instead na force na 450, So, ano daw yung mga forces acting dun sa mga direction na yon in such a way na pag pinag-combine mo sila, yung combined effect nila is just like nung 450 pound force na directed downward. So, ngayon class, iisipin natin, ano kaya tong two forces na to? So, tawagin natin tong FAC, saka ito yung natin, FAB. Iisipin mo class, ano kaya dapat yung direction ng mga forces na to para pag pinagsama ko sila, magiging directed downward na 450 lang sila. So, halimbawa, naisip mo, di gawin ko silang parehas na papunta dito. No? Para parehas silang may downward component. So, gets ba yun? Yung FAC may downward component. And then, FAB pala to. And then, etong FAB, so, meron din siyang downward component. Yun nga, ibig sabihin, downward plus downward. O baka nga tumugma dun sa dito sa 450. Ang kaso, pag ganyan yung ginawa mo, di pares silang papuntang left. Kung i-consider natin yung yung tag dito, horizontal component. So, yung FAC to the left, etong FAB to the left din siya. So, pag pinagsama natin yon, left plus left, ibig sabihin, magkakaroon siya ng horizontal component. Kaso class, yung resultant natin, kung titignan mo, wala naman siyang horizontal component, di ba? So, di ba parang lumalabas dito is that yung FR is meron siyang yung horizontal niya, FRX, wala. Di ba? Kasi completely downward siya. Pero yung niya, yung vertical component niya, FRY is what? Yung negative 450 kasi downward, kaya negative. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan magka-counter tong dalawang force na to. Hindi sila pwedeng parehas towards to the left. Kasi kung left nga silang parehas, hindi masasatisfy na magsisiro to. Okay, so mag-iisip ka ngayon. So, sino yung papuntang left, sino yung papuntang right? I think ito na lang siguro. Okay lang naman class magkamali ng assumption. So, palitan ko to. So, siguro ito yung papuntang papuntang right. So, ganito siya. Okay? So, ngayon, i-try natin class, i-extract nga para mas ma-imagine natin yung figure. So, we have here, ito. So, parang ito yung So, wait lang Parang hindi tayo malito. So, ito yung FAB. And then, yung angle is 45. And then, dito sa direction na to, yung FAC. Pero dito ko na siya i-drawing class. Okay. So, ito yung parang FAC. Gets? Tapos, di ba, makikita mo, doon sa extension, yung angle of intersection nila is 30. So, parang ito. Kung i-extend ko to, parang ito yung 30, di ba? So, sabihin, 30 na rin to. Gets ba yan? Okay, so sana gets. And ba ito, 45. So, ibig sabihin, dito, 45 din. Okay, para lang class magkaroon tayo ng reference ng mga angle ng forces involved sa atin. Okay lang ba yan? Tapos lumalabas, yung resultant nila is ito, yung downward. Ito yung FR na 450. So, paano mag-solve ng mga ganyang forces? So, hindi natin pwede gamitin yung Caltech na ginawa natin kanina. Kasi dito, may two forces na involved na nawawala. So, hindi pwede, hindi useful yung Caltech. So, ang gagamitin natin class dito is yung konsepto nito. So, di ba nag-arrive na tayo dito? Dapat yung horizontal component magsi-0. Tapos, yung vertical component magna-negative 450. So, ganun lang. So, simply use lang natin yan. So, we take summation ng mga forces along x, considering to the right, positive. So, dapat magsi-0. So, yung FAC, so tingin tayo sa figure. So, kung 45, 30 ito, so 75, this one magiging 15. Tama ba? 45, 30, 75, 15, magna 90, okay? So, therefore, lalabas FAC towards the right, and then cosine of 15, and then yung FAB negative. So, anong angle gagamitin ko? Ito na lang 45. So, kung yan, so horizontal, sine, no? So, sine 45. So, sabi natin dapat magsi-0. So, in that case, naka-generate tayo ng one equation involving two unknowns. So, equation 1. So, another equation is summation ng forces along y, considering upward positive, dapat mag-equal saan? Sa vertical component, negative 450. So, yung FAC, upward, so positive. So, AC sine of 15. And then, yung FAB, so downward, so negative. Negative FAB. So, considering yung angle na 45, so that is cosine 45. So, sabi natin dapat negative 450. Kita pa ba? Kita pa. So, equation 2. Okay, so no need to worry class, no? Kung sakaling hindi ka pa sanay sa pagkuha ng direction. Okay lang naman kung gusto mo para silang papunta doon. So, mangyari naman yung class, kapag yung lumabas na resulting value ng mga nakuha mong FAC saka FAB is magne-negative, meaning to say nun is mali yung assumed direction mo. So, babaligtarin mo lang naman. Pero mas maganda class kung pinapractice mo na yung pag-a-analyze kung ano ba dapat yung direction. Kasi later on, ganun din naman yung gagawin mo sa mga future subjects. No? I-analyze mo na ano ba yung magiging effect or direction ng mga forces. Parang ganun. Okay, anyways, two equations, two unknowns class. Hindi ko napapakita. Solve for FAC and FAB. Ilan yan class? Okay, FAC equals 636.396 or 40. So unit is pounds, and next is 869.33 pounds. So both are positive, so therefore correct assumed direction. So for number 4, tinatanong is AB. So wag malilito. AB is ito, 869. So letter C. So correct. So for number 5, compute the magnitude along the AC. So FAC, so yun yung 636. So letter B, so correct. Okay, so gets ba yun class? So next tayo, para makarami tayo, situation 3. So in situation 3 class, kung check nyo sa handout nyo yan, almost the same lang yan itong situation 2. So, mas maganda kayo mag-practice paano i-solve. Kayo mag-analyze kung saan directed yung mga components ng given na force. Okay? So, next, proceed na ang class dito sa situation 4. Okay? So, kunin ko lang class. Okay. Yan. Situation 4. The force acting on the gear tooth is 30 pounds. So calculate the component of the force acting the long line AA and calculate the component of the force acting on the line BB. So, ayun, may given force, no? Parang siya yung resultant. So tawagin natin siyang FR, which is equal sa 30 pounds. So gusto niya i-break down yung mga forces or yung force na yan, no, yung FR na yan, into its component directed along AA saka BB. Ngayon class, iisip ka na naman, what two forces directed along AA and BB na pag pinag-combine mo, yung magiging effect nila is a force na equal sa 30 pounds directed at this direction, yung pag ganito. So, siguro pwede ng assumption is pag ganito. Ito pataas, ito is pababang ganyan. Okay, so tawagin natin to class FA since toward ano siya, along AA, and then ito FB. Okay? So ang kinahirap lang nito class is hindi natin ma-convert no yung mga given angles, yung 80 saka 60 sa angles with respect sa vertical na y-axis saka horizontal na x-axis. So, unlike this one, diba ito may given na angle, 30. So, na-convert natin yung mga angle no, sa mga angle with respect sa x nga saka sa y. Kaya naging madali mag-solve neto. So, ito, kung tatry natin to class, so let's say gawa tayo dito ng ano, Cartesian plane. Ito yung vertical. Ito yung horizontal. So, kung i-extract natin yan dito. So, ayan yan, no? So, lumalabas. Drawing natin yung ano, yung FB. So, parang pag ganito siya. Pero dito ko na siya do-drawing. Okay, hindi. Gawin muna nga natin ano. Gawin muna nga natin, drawing muna natin yung axis. So, this one is yung axis nung BB. Okay, and then we have here AA. Okay, ina-extract ko muna. And then, delete ko tong block ko dito. Baka malito kayo. Okay, ayan. No? So, sabi, yung resultant force is papaano? Ito siya, no? Which is 80 degrees from the BB axis. So, mga paganito yan. Parang ito yung resultant na 30. And then, that is measured mula dito sa BB. Okay, so ito yung 80. And then, papunta dito, papunta sa AA, ang angle naman niya is 60. Tama? 60. Oh, so, ilan yung matitira dito, class? Kailangan pa ba yun? Sige, lagyan na rin natin. So, kung 80, 60 yan, so straight line yung BB. So, 80, 60, 140. So, this one is 40. So, with respect sa mga angle na given dyan, hindi natin siya ma-convert, no? Dun sa mga ano nga, angle ng force with respect dun sa global x and y axis. So, halimbawa, ito yung x axis, ito yung y. So, hindi natin ito makuha yung angle ng FR. Ilan ba yan? With respect sa y axis. So, hindi natin siya ma-convert, no? So, kapag ganyan, gagamit tayo class ng ano, ng local axis. So, magta-transform tayo ng axis natin. Hanap tayo ng convenient na axis para sa atin. So, anyways, drawing ko muna class yung direction ng ano, ng mga forces, assume direction natin. So, yung FB natin is parang ito siya, pababa. So, dito ko na siya do-drawing class, Okay. Since same lang naman yan doon sa ano, 'di ba? By ano, law nung ano, transmissibility. So, parang ito pa rin yung FB. Tapos yung FA, parang ito naman. So, this one is yung FA. Okay, so the same din dito sa ano, sa FR. Pero, sige. Bago natin gawin yun, sabi ko nga, hanap tayo ng local axis na madaling i-analyze yung mga forces. So, nasan yun? So, pwedeng ito class yung mga axis natin. So, let's try etong AA. Gawin natin siyang ano, gawin natin siyang x prime axis. Okay lang ba? So, lumalabas ito ano no, 40 din kasi may 40 sa baba. So, makikita mo class no, ang hirap na niyan no kapag hindi na natin kayang i-convert into its horizontal and vertical component. So, anyways, practice lang naman. So, kung 80 ito, kung 40 ito, 80 ito, 120 yan. So therefore, yung perpendicular sa x prime axis is somewhere here. So ito yung parang lumalabas na y prime axis. Wait lang. Hindi ako makagawa straight line. Ayan. So ito yung lumalabas na y prime. Okay? So this one must be perpendicular. Okay? So kung sabi ko nga, kung ito is 80 and then ito is 40, so 120 yan. So this one is 90. So yung matitira dito is ilan? 30 no? 30 degrees. So sana na nagigets mo yung ginagawa ko, class. Okay? So ngayon, ang gagawin natin, yung FR, kukunin muna natin yung ano niya. So di ba sabi natin yung FR is 30. Kukunin natin yung mga components niya. Pero hindi na sa global x and y axis, kundi dun na sa local x prime and y prime axis. So class, ilan yung x prime component ng resultant force? So parang FR x prime. Okay? So kung zoom in ko to, class, ayan na. Lumalabas, ito yung FR natin, no? So parang meron siyang ganitong component along x prime axis. So parang may paganito. Okay, so this one is yung FR along the x prime axis. So to solve for that, that is what? So nakikita mo yung triangle? Nakikita mo to, focus ka dito sa triangle na to. So para makuha yun, equal yun sa yung FR sine of 30, di ba? That is yung FR sine of 30, wherein FR is 30, di ba? Yung magnitude netong force na to, yung kulay orange is 30 yan eh, 30 pounds. So 30 pounds, ayusin nga natin, mukhang naging 301 na. 30 pounds, and then sine of 30. And then towards dun sa positive x prime axis. So positive 30 sine 30. Yun yung FR sub x prime. So how about its component along the y prime axis? So parang ito naman yun, no? Parang ito yun naman yung ano niya. Nagas niyo ba? So, ito naman, along sa y prime axis, ayan. So, that one represents naman yung parang vertical component naman ng resultant force, FRY prime. So, from the figure, that is towards sa, pababa, di ba, ng y prime axis. So, that is negative. Negative, using yung triangle, 30 cosine of 30 naman, no? Focus ka lang sa triangle na to, class. So that is 30 cosine of 30 degrees. Okay? So, siya yung medyo mahirap dito na problem, pero okay lang 'yan. So, meron na tayong mga components. So again, pwede na tayong mag-solve. So saying that the resultant force along x prime is just the summation ng lahat ng forces along x prime. Okay? So, tingnan natin yung mga forces FA saka FB. Yung FA is completely at the direction ng x prime. So, and then positive direction. So, parang mangyari, summation ng forces along x prime is equal sa yung FA. Ilan yung component niya along x prime? FA, di ba? How about itong FB? So itong FB is paganto naman siya. So negative. So check mo to, class, no? Ito yung triangle niya eh. So parang ito yung lumalabas na FB x prime. Pag ganun. So negative 'yun. So negative FB. So, may given na angle 40 degrees. So, FB cosine of 40. Then, sabi natin, equal yan dun saan? Sa component ng resultant force along x prime, which is what? Nagawa na natin siya dito kanina. 30 sine of 30. So, this one now is our equation 1. Okay, no? So, hirap. So, next, kunin natin yung consider natin yung vertical component. So, F R y prime equal yun sa summation ng lahat ng forces along y prime. So, yung FA, wala naman siyang component along y prime. So, 0 siya. Sulat natin dito. Summation ng Fy prime. Yung FA, wala, no? So, parang 0 siya. And then, yung FB, kung titingnan mo yung figure, so, para siyang merong vertical component na paano? Pababa, no? Ito, no? Ito yung FB y prime, downward. So, negative. So, that is negative. FB, so, yung angle is 40. So, sine naman, no? Sine 40. And then, that is equivalent sa dito. Vertical component ng resultant force. So, negative 30 cosine of 30. So, this one is our equation 2. Okay, so, yan. We have two equations, two unknowns. So, solvable yung FA and FB. Okay, so, ilan yan, class? Okay, so sagot, FA is 45.96 pounds and FB is 40.42 pounds. So, nakuha kong sagot is both positive values. Therefore, correct yung natin, assumed directions nila. Okay, so ayan, yung nasa figure. So, therefore, for number 8, calculate the component along line AA, FA. So, 45. So, we are correct. So, next, FB. Now, calculate the component along BB. So, that is FB. So, 40.42. So, that is letter D. So, correct. Okay, so, I hope na-gets nyo yung solution natin dito. So, sana nasundan. Okay, so the same lang yan, no? Same ng concept. Nagkaroon lang tayo ng translation ng axis. So instead na magbase tayo sa local sa global axis x and y, sumanap tayo ng convenient x prime and y prime axis, and then the rest is the same. So actually we can solve this one using tawag dito, parallelogram law. Pero, I think, para hindi na kayo maguluhan. So, okay na yan. Then, proceed na tayo sa next natin, situation. So, situation 5. So, kung may question kayo, no, sa nangyari dito, message nyo lang ako. And then, try ko kayong i-help na mas maintindihan yung ginawa natin. Okay? So, wait lang. Situation 5. So, dito. The plate is subjected to the two forces at A and B as shown in the figure. So, may FA, may FB. So, tinatanong, determine the angle for the connecting member A. So, ilan daw tong theta na to? So that the resultant force is directed horizontally to the right. So, parang gusto niyo sabihin, no, pag pinagsama mo yung FA saka FB, yung magiging combined effect nila is completely horizontal para magiging ganito. Ito yung FR. So, we can say na ang sinasabi niya dapat yung FRX may value yan, no? May value. Pero yung Y component ng FR dapat 0. Kasi nga, sabi niya, gusto niya completely horizontal. So, gets? And then number 11, tinatanong is, determine the magnitude of the resultant force. So, ayun na, may clue na tayo. Ito yung gagawin natin. So, may given dyan is itong FRY. So, now, we start solving it using FRY. Okay? So, yung FRY is just the summation ng lahat ng forces along Y. So, sabi natin, kailangan magsisiro siya. Wala siyang vertical component. So, considering yung figure, ayan, so consider natin yung forces upward positive. Okay, so summation of forces along Y equals, so yung FA, vertical component niya is pataas. Okay, so that is FA 8, considering yung angle theta, that is cosine of theta. Okay, and then yung FB is pababa, so that is negative 6. And then cosine of 40. And then this one must be equal sa 0. So with that, isa lang yung unknown, yung angle theta. Solvable lang theta. Ilan ang angle theta na yan, class? Okay, so sagot is 54.93 degrees. So very simple. So sagot is letter C. Okay? Next is determine the magnitude of the resultant force. So lumalabas kasi dito, kung completely horizontal yung FR, edi etong FRX is just simply equal sa FR, no? So equal lang sila. So kailangan lang natin kunin yung FRX. So to do that, so FRX is just simply the summation ng lahat ng forces along X. Okay? So consider natin forces to the right positive. So, summation ng forces along X equals, so that is 8. So, magiging sine of theta naman, wherein yung theta is 54.93. And then yung FB is towards the positive direction din siya. So, plus 6 sine of 40. Okay, so whatever the value of this one, corresponds na rin dun sa resultant force FR. Okay, so ilan yan? So this one yung summation of force along X na equal sa FRX na equal na rin sa FR for this specific problem. So ilan ang sagot, class? So sagot 10.404 or 10.4 kilonewtons. Okay, so from the choices, that is letter C. So, correct. Okay, so sige, next pa tayo, class. Tuloy-tuloy na natin to. So, situation ano na tayo? Situation 6, check na natin. Situation 6 is almost the same ng konsepto na itong situation 5. So, iiwan ko na sa inyo to, class, situation 6. Try nyo kayo mag-solve. And may keto correction naman niya yung handout. So, check nyo, class, kung tugma yung mga makuha nyo sagot using yung same approach natin dito sa situation 5. Okay, so skip ko na yan. Punta na ako situation 7. So, copy ko lang, class. Okay, so kita ba? Okay. So, situation 7. Wait lang. Okay, ayan. So, sabi, a large vessel is being towed by two tugboats A and B. So, meron siyang given na force FA, given yung angle of inclination. And then, may FB with unknown direction and unknown magnitude. Okay? So, tinatanong dito, if the resultant force of the two tugboat is 3 kilonewton directed along the positive x-axis. So, lumalabas yung ano niya, no? Yung FR, which is ito, is completely horizontal. So, ito yung FR. Okay, wherein FR ay equal daw sa 3 kilonewtons. Okay, pag ganyan daw, ang tinatanong, determine the required magnitude of force FB. So, ilan daw yung FB? Okay, next. Number 15. If the resultant of the force of the two tugboat is 3 kilonewton directed along the positive x-axis. So, the same. So, determine naman daw the required direction. Okay, so sabay lang natin na masolve yan. Yung magnitude and direction. So, next, if the resultant force of the two tugboats is required to be directed towards the positive x-axis and FB is to be a minimum, so determine the magnitude of FR. Okay, so dito class, walang binigay na magnitude ng resultant, pero gusto niya minimize yung value ng FB. So parang magka-calculus yata tayo dito ah. So anyways, dito muna tayo sa dalawang una, 14 and 15. So drawing ko lang siguro, extract ko lang siya. So drawing natin yung two forces. So ito yung FA, 2 kilonewtons. And then yung FB is somewhere here. So hindi natin alam. So wala rin siyang angle. Ito merong 30 degrees. And we want that the resultant of these forces must be a force towards the positive x-axis. Ito yung FR na sabi must be equal sa 3 kilonewtons. Okay, we can solve this one using yung yung conventional. So I think sige gawin na nga natin. So kailangan yung FR convert natin sa niya, no? Horizontal and vertical component. So ilan yung horizontal component? FRX nung FR. Eh di 3. Kasi nga completely horizontal siya, di ba? And then yung FRY eh di 0 kasi nga wala nga siyang vertical component. So with that, solve natin using conventional. So yung horizontal component is equal sa summation ng mga forces along X. So dapat ito magiging 3 kilonewton. So consider forces to the right positive. So that is what? Summation ng force along X. So yung FA is what? 2 cosine of 30 plus FB cosine of theta. So dapat equal siya sa 3. So we have here equation 1. Next, FRY is equal sa summation ng mga forces along Y. And this one must be equal sa 0. So that summation ng forces along Y, considering the figure is yung FA positive. So considering force type upward positive ha. So yan, summation of force along Y. So yung FA positive 2 sine of 30. And then yung FB is downward, so negative FB. And then sine of theta naman. So this one must be equal sa 0. So equation 2. So yan, two equations, two unknowns class. Solvable lang FB and theta. Pero sige, practicein na natin paano mag-solve nito manually. So considerin muna natin tong equation 2. So at equation 2, so 2 sine 30 minus FB sine of theta equals 0. So solve natin yung FB. So, paano kunin yung FB dyan, class? So, transpose sa other side, magiging 2 sine of 30 over sine of theta. So, sana nag-guess nyo ng class simplification lang naman yan. And then, substitute natin yung FB na yan sa equation 1. So, at equation 1, so that is 2 cosine of 30 plus FB cosine of theta equals 3. So, palit natin yung FB niyan. So, ilan yan? Magiging plus 2 sine of 30 over sine of theta times cosine of theta equals 3. So, cosine over sine, ilan yan? Cotangent yan, di ba? Tama ba? Cotangent of theta. So, ibig sabihin class, naka-generate tayo ng equation with only one unknown, which is yung theta. So, with that, ilan yung lalabas na theta dyan. So, kayo nang bahala dyan, class. So, ilan sagot? Okay, so sagot is 38.26 degrees. So, nasa choices ba yan? So, okay, nasa choices. That is letter A. Okay? So, yan. Kung may theta na tayo, substitute mo na lang yan dito. So, masolve mo na yung FB. So, FB equals 2 sine of 30 over sine of 38.26. So, ilan yung lalabas na FB dyan? So, sagot is 1.61 kilonewton. So, nasa choices ba yan? Okay, so nasa choices, that is letter C. So, correct. Okay, so with that, ayan. Napansin mo class, medyo matrabaho siya, no? Pero okay lang, at least marunong ka na class mag-solve manually kung paano kumuha ng mga forces ng ganitong type ng problem. So, take note lang class, medyo minadali ko na yung pag-simplify dito kasi I assume na master mo na yung class kasi dumaan ka na sa mathematics. Okay, so anyways, medyo tedious yung solution. So, why not class gamitin natin yung paggamit ng calculator ninyo. So, take note class, ang nawawala dito, isang force lang. Yung FB lang. So, sabi ko nga sa inyo class, kapag isang force lang yung nawawala, you can use yung complex mode, no? Yung diskarte natin gamit yung calculator. So, paano yung class? Eh di itong FA, store mo yan sa A. So, paano yan? That is 2 angle 30, di ba? Store sa A. Okay? Itong FR, eh di parang siya yung resultant na ini-store sa F. Tama ba? Okay, so FR is 3 kilonewton directed towards the positive x-axis of 3 angle 0. So, store sa F. Tapos, itong FB, parang ito yung force na dapat i-store mo sa B. Kaso dahil hindi mo nga siya alam, so wala kang i-store. Pero we know that the concept is vector summation ng mga component na force ay equal sa resultant force na nasa F. So, to solve for B, that is just equal sa F minus A. Okay, so practice natin. Punta tayo sa calculator. So, matatakpan yata yung sinulat ko. So, pakitake note na lang netong i-store sa A saka sa F. Okay. So, anong i-store sa FA? That is yung 2 angle 30. Ano yung i-store sa F? Ayun yung 3 angle 0. So, from the equation, F minus A, so yun na yung B. So, napakabilis, no? Yun na yung B. And with that, convert na lang natin siya sa R angle theta. Makukuha na natin yung mga magnitude niya saka yung angle niya with respect sa positive x-axis. Okay, so yung first value, 1.614 represents the magnitude of the force FB, which is what? Oh, ayan class, oh. tamang-tama, 1.61. Next, yung angle, negative 38. So, kaya negative yan kasi kung titignan mo yung direction ng FB is from the positive x-axis, pag ganito siya, no? Kaya yung ibibigay niyang angle is negative talaga. So, tama naman. That corresponds na dun sa sa angle theta, no? 38.26. Oh, ayan class, 38.26. So, very easy, no? Ilang pindot lang yun sa calculator class. Kesa yung nag-solve ka ng ganito. So, gaano kahaba yung time na nagamit natin pag-solve nito. Ito, minadali ko pa to kasi pag gamay mo na kasi class, alam mo na class kung paano i-convert, no? Alam mo na yung gagawin. So, mga ganyan. So, it takes time para magawa yan, pero using yung diskarte natin sa calculator, so long as alam mo, no, yung paggamit niya and then yung rationale behind that one. So, sobrang bilis lang nung problem na to. Anyways, may kulang pa tayo. So, number 16. If the resultant force is required to be directed towards the positive x-axis and FB is to be a minimum, determine the magnitude of FR. So, ang gagawin lang natin dyan, class, parang ganito. So, siguro, so, drawing ako dito bago for that one. Okay, so, ayan, no. So, instead na dito kasi, class, yung FR, may given siyang value. Dito, wala. Okay? Tapos yung FB, gusto niya, magiging, siya, minimum value nung FB. So, paano kaya yun, class? So, para mangyari lang dito, analyze mo yung FR. Kung ang sinasabi niya is that yung resultant force must be completely horizontal, papuntang positive x-axis. So, we can say that yung horizontal component niya na FRX ay equal lang dun sa value ng FR. Tama ba? So, just like this one. Diba? Kung yung FR is 3, yung horizontal component niya is 3 na rin. Kasi nga, completely horizontal. So, ganun din dito. Wala nga lang value. And then, yung FRY is still 0. Wala siyang vertical component. So, use lang natin yung same solution. At class, at ikaw ng summation ng forces along X. So, considering force to the right, positive. Summation ng force along X. So, that is what? 2 cosine of 30 plus FB cosine of theta equals, diba equal ito saan? Sa FRX, which is, sabi dito, equal siya sa FR. So, this one is now our equation 1. Okay? So, ayun, kalmahan mo lang class, no? So, nasolve mo naman yung first two using yung Caltech. So, marami kang time para dito masolve ito. So, next, yung vertical component, FRY equals sa summation ng mga force along Y. Consider natin forces upward, positive. So, that is what? Summation of force along Y equals 2 sine of 30 minus yung FB sine of theta. So, sabi natin, dapat sila is magsi-0. So, ito yung ating equation 2. So, consider nga natin to class, itong equation 2. So, di ba parang na-simplify na natin kanina yan eh. So, at equation 2 na 2 sine of 30 minus FB sine theta equals 0. So, isolate natin yung FB, no? So, magiging FB equals 2 sine of 30 over sine of theta. Ngayon class, I think pwede ko nang i-minimize yung dito, FB, kasi parang nakagawa na ako ng equation nung gusto kong i-minimize in terms of one variable, yung theta. Parang lumalabas at what angle theta mas yung FB directed in such a way na magiging minimum yung value nito. So, para makuha natin yung minimum value, paano yan class? Kunin natin yung derivative. So, FB prime equals, so, paano to? Di ba ano yan? Yung negative 2 sine of 30 times yung derivative ng denominator. So, that is what? Sine, magiging cosine. And then, over yung denominator squared. Sine theta squared. So, ayun, basta alam mo na yung class. Dumaan ka na sa di ba? Calculus. So, recall mo na lang yung pag-solve ng ganyan. Okay, so, paano gagawin after that? So, gawing 0 to. So, therefore, pag tinranspose ko to, so, nonsense na lang siya. So, parang lumalabas, 0 is equal sa negative 2 sine of 30 cosine of theta. So, again, this one, ta-transfer ko lang yan dito para mag-0. So, magiging 0 is equal sa cosine of theta. So, therefore, theta now is equal saan dapat class para maging minimum siya. Sige, kakalculator ko pa yung class. Kasi, gusto ko sure eh. So, dapat yung theta must be equal sa 90 degrees. Okay? So, ibig sabihin pala class, etong FB is dapat totally directed siya, downward. Okay? So, anyways, kung 90 degrees yan, edi pwede ko nang gamitin siguro tong balikan to para makuha yung FB. Okay lang ba yan? Kasi ang tinatanong lang naman is determine, hindi pala, ang tinatanong pala yung FR, no? So, kung meron na akong theta na 90 degrees, so ano yung minimum value nung nung FB? So, palit natin yan dito. So, magiging 2 sine of 30 over sine 90. Ilan yan, class? That is what? 1 kilonewton. Okay? So, tama ba minimum yan? So, di ba kanina sa previous na problem natin, may nakuha tayong FB 1.61. So, may nakuha pa pala tayong mas maliit na FB 1 kilonewton using yung angle niya na 90. So, sana class na gets nyo to, no? This one is a calculus part na pagkuha ng minimum value. Okay, so kung may FB na tayo, so we can substitute that one here sa equation 1 natin. So, extract natin tong equation 1. So, diba ito yung equation 1? Summation ng force along x. Ito yung equation na equal siya sa FRX, which is, sabi nga natin, yung FRX must be completely equal dun sa value ng resultant force. So, palit na lang natin yan dito. So, ito magiging 1. Ito magiging 90. Okay? So, with that, we can solve for the resultant, FR. And that is how much? So, this one is square root of 3 or 1.73 kilonewtons. So, I hope na nasa choices yan. Okay, so which is, okay, so correct, letter C. Okay, so, nagets nyo ba, class, yung ginawa natin? So, sana nagets mo yan. So, wala tayong value ng FR, pero alam natin yung konsepto na to. And we use the same conventional solution. And then, calculus para masolve yung theta na magbibigay ng minimum value ng FB. And then, once we have our FB, palit natin yan sa first equation. Solvable na ngayon ng FR. Okay? So, ayan. Next problem. So, sana nandiyan pa kayo class, no? So, practice lang tayo ng practice. So, problem number 17 tayo. Okay, ayan. So, sabi dito, determine the magnitude of the resultant force and its direction measured counterclockwise from the positive x-axis. So, given tayo ng mga forces, F1, F2, and F3. So, I think I can use or utilize to this one yung ano natin, paggamit ng calculator na lang since one force lang yung unknown, yung resultant force. So, we just need to convert yung mga forces na given dito into its equivalent R angle theta. Okay? So, consider natin ito yung axis. So, ang mga given is slope, no? So, let's say tawagin natin tong theta 3, ito tawagin nating theta 1. No, kasi F1 to, saka ito F3. So, paano makukuha yung theta 1 using yung slope? So, theta 1 equals yung arctan of 3/4, no? Yung theta 3 equal yun sa arctan of the same, no? 3/4 din. Okay? So, convert natin. F1 equals sa magnitude 15, angle. Ano yung angle niya? From the positive x. Ito yun, di ba? So, that is yung 180 minus yung theta 1 na yung arctan of 3/4. So, how about yung F2? So, that is completely vertical. So, 20 angle 90. Upward eh. Okay, take note lang class yung direction nung mahalaga yung direction. Kasi kung pababa naman yan, di dapat yung ikot nun 270. So, mahalaga yung direction ng mga forces. And then, for F3, we have 15 angle. So, dito, yung angle niya yung theta 3 lang, which is yung arctan of 3/4. Ups, yun yung problema, no? So, balikan natin class yung F1. Nakikita mo yung direction ng F1. This one is downward. So, ayun, kakasabi ko lang kanina class eh. Mahalaga yung direction. So, lumalabas kasi, no, yung F1 is parang eto siya. So, kunin natin yung projection niya. Parang, andi dito yung F1 na yan, class. Okay. So, muntik na tayo, malaw ko ng problem. So, ito pala yung F1, no? Pag ganon. Kasi kailangan magkakasama yung mga yung tail ng mga forces. So, diba ito yung F2, no, pataas. Ito yung F3. So, kailangan at the same point yung mga tail nila. Okay, kasi dito yung F1 is pababa. So, dali lang natin siya dito sa baba, class. Nag-guess nyo ba yung ginawa ko? Dapat andi dito siya. So, kung nandiyan siya, ang dapat na angle niya ay hindi ito. Hindi yan yung angle niya. So, delete natin yan. So, ang angle niya from the positive x-axis is pag ganito. Tama? So, on this one is theta 1. So, ito, theta 1 na rin to. So, dapat pala, 360 minus theta 1 siya. So, yan dito, mali to. Dapat to is 360 minus yung arctan of 3/4. So, nagets ba yan, class? So, yun yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, class. Be careful na hindi porket nandun siya sa taas. Kanina, nasa taas siya, quadrant 2. Doon mo na i-measure yung angle. So, kailangan magkakadugtong muna yung mga tails ng mga arrows natin, no? Yung ganito. So, dapat andi dito yung projection niya. Okay? So, kung mapansin mo, ganyan yung mga projection ng mga forces sa mga previous problems natin. Laging magkakasama yung Saan pa ba? Balikan lang natin. No? Ito, oh. Tama. So, ito, dapat ito nasa baba, pero okay lang yan. No, kinonvert ko siya, no? Yung dalawang force na magkaano sila, magkasama yung mga buntot ng mga ano nila, arrow nila. So, ayan. Ito, di ba? Anong ginawa ko dito? Kinonvert ko siya ng paganito. Okay? Para lang maging valid yung paggamit natin sa calculator. Ayan, oh. Saan pa? Oh, ito. Ganun din. Okay? So, hopefully na-gets mo na critical yon. So, muntik na tayo mahuli ng problem na to. So, anong gagawin? This one is store sa... Isa na yun. Wait lang. So, ito store sa A. F2 store sa B. F3 store sa C. So, to solve for the resultant FR, that is just the vector summation of all the components. So, A plus B plus C. So, i-store natin yung sagot niyan sa letter F. Okay. So, nakasunod. So, gamit tayo ng calcu. So, that is 15 angle 360 minus arctan of 3/4. Ay, ayun ba yan? Okay, so next is 20 angle 90. So next is 15 angle of arctan of 3/4. Okay, so tama yung napindot ko. So ngayon, A plus B then plus C. So whatever yung value, store natin sa F. And then to determine its magnitude and direction, so simply convert sa R angle theta. So yun, no? So first value 31.24 represents the magnitude. So from the choices, so sure na tayo. Itong A lang yung tumugma. And then, ilan yung binigay na angle from the positive x-axis? So, binigay is 39.81. So, ibig sabihin, nasa quadrant 1 siya. Which is, ayun, no? So, pares lang din naman sa theta dito. So, with that, we can say that the correct answer is, ayun, yung letter A. So, hopefully class, na-gets nyo yung ginawa natin and yung pagiging crucial na itong F1, yung direction niya. Okay, so and last situation tayo class regarding sa coplanar forces, yung mga 2D forces natin. So coplanar forces saka mga concurrent forces. So, yun nga class, ano ibig sabihin class pag sinabi mong coplanar? So, ibig sabihin yung mga forces is lying at the same plane, no? Iisang plane lang siya. So, in this case nga, XY plane. So, 2D forces. So, pag sinabi mo namang non-complanar, okay, ibig sabihin nun, yun yung 3D forces. So, ano na siya, at different planes na siya. XY, YZ, XY plane. 3D forces. So, pag sinabi naman ng concurrent forces, ibig sabihin yun naman yung mga forces na magpa-pass through at the same or one intersection point. So, in this case nga, sa figure natin, ayun o, nagpa sila dito sa point na to. Okay, concurrent. So, pag sinabi mong ano pa ba ibang mga type ng forces? So, parallel forces, dadaanan rin natin yan. Yun naman yung mga forces na parallel sa isa't isa. So, wala silang point of intersection. And then, meron din tayong tinatawag na non-concurrent. So, pag non-concurrent, ibig sabihin, hindi sila magpa-pass through at the same point. Okay? So, yung analysis natin na to is mga concurrent na coplanar forces. Okay, so last problem na tayo, class. So, wag ka nang mainip. No? So, sana natututo ka sa ginagawa natin. Okay, so wait lang. Okay, last problem. So, okay. So, from the figure shown below, we have here what? 600 Newton force, F1 with an unknown magnitude and direction, and another force inclined 30 degrees from the positive x-axis. So, tinatanong, determine the magnitude of F1 so that the resultant force is vertically upward and has a magnitude of 800. And then, determine the direction of F1. Yun nga, so that the resultant force is directed vertically upward and has a magnitude of 800. So, yun nga, class, no, hindi ko napapakita dito yung mga long solution, yung paggamit nung nung conventional solution na take summation of forces along x, take summation of force along y, kasi nagawa na natin yun sa 2D forces, and at the same time, sa problem na to, magagamit ulit natin yung technique sa calculator natin. Okay? So, drawing lang natin yung resultant. So, sabi, yung resultant daw, dapat is vertical and then upward. Okay? Which has a magnitude of 800 newtons. Okay, so tawagin natin to, class, as F2. Ito yung F3. Okay, so nangyari dito, class, yung F1 is wala tayong value, which is dapat siya yung nasa letter A. And then yung F2, so paano i-convert yan? Gamit yun sa complex mode. So, tama ba yung yung pagkaka-drawing ng direction? Kasi kung hindi, lilipat ulit natin siya ng quadrant. So, okay naman, no? Quadrant to siya. So, yung F2, using the figure, that is yung R, 600 angle, yung theta niya is 180 minus yung yung arctan of 3/4. So, alam mo naman na yan kung paano na nanggaling yan. So, this one is letter B. While yung F3, equal yan saan? 400 angle 30. So, store sa C. So, we know that yung FR is directed upward. So, that is 800 angle 90. And then, siya ay nakastore naman sa letter F. So, using yung formula, vector summation A plus B plus C ay equal sa resultant force. So, we can now solve for A. That is F minus B minus C. Okay, so let's input that in our calculator. Okay, so ayan, so that F minus B minus C, so tama. So sana tama yung pagpindot ko. So this one now corresponds sa value nung F1, which is nasa A. So gusto natin kunin yung magnitude sa direction. So convert sa our angle theta. So therefore magnitude equals 274.67. So, from the choices, ito yung sagot. Okay. So, yun, may konti lang discrepancy sa Di ko sure kung saan nanggaling. Pero, anyways, yun na yung sagot. And, next is, yung angle is 60.90. No? Pero, class, wag ka magmamadali kasi hindi yun yung sagot. Okay? So, yung nakuha natin dito is what? Wait lang Patapos na tayo, class. Wait lang. 274.67 angle 60.90. Huwag ka magmamadali class, mama. I-shade mo na naman ng madiin ito. Letter C. Hindi yan yung sagot. Tinatanong kasi yung angle theta. Asan ba yung theta sa figure? Di ba measured from the y-axis? Yung 60 kasi class, yun yung ano eh. Yun yung angle from the positive x-axis. Ito yung 60.90. So, ito yung theta na hinahanap. So, from that, we can say that yung theta ay equal sa 90 minus 60.90. Okay, so from that, ilan yung lalabas na theta? Okay, so yung correct answer is 29.10 degrees. Okay, so wag kang magmamadali. Okay, so that is nasa choices din. So yun yung correct answer. Okay, so yun class. Hanggang dyan na lang yung discussion natin regarding 2D forces. So, mapa 3 mga ano yan? 3 forces, 2 forces. The same lang yung atake gamit yung conventional solution or yung calculator na complex mode if and only if isa lang yung force na nawawala. Okay, so ayun guys, next video natin, pasok naman tayo sa discussion natin ng mga forces na non-coplanar, no? Yung mga 3D forces natin. Okay? So, thank you guys for watching. So, sana nagets nyo yung discussion natin. Okay, so see you next time. God bless.